Welcome, everybody. I'm Cindy Myers, and tonight we're going to have an animal and emotions topic. So we'll get going with that right now. If you have any questions, put them in the chat box. I can't always see the chat box while the my screen is up with the
Over.
presentation, but it will help you. It will help you remember what the question is for when it's time for your question and answers, and I will have plenty of time for demos later. So with that, we'll get going here. Uh, so again, welcome to tonight's Animal and Emotions webinar. If you have more interest in learning what I do, you can check out my website at yourenergyhealer.com. Before we get going, I do want to mention that if you're having a medical emergency, please call your veterinarian. But what I can do for you in the meantime, or while you're getting veterinary care, I can provide energy support for your pet. And what this will do will help with what your vet is doing and support your pet's natural healing abilities. So please make sure you do check in with your vet if there's a medical emergency. I'll go into more of my background probably as we get going. Oops, got a little blurred here. But I thought tonight we talk about some of the more frequently asked questions, and these just happened this week. So I get a lot of questions, but these are the three topics that have shown up today or this week. And it's one is I can't tell what my dog is feeling. They're not feeling well, but I can't tell what's wrong with them. So they called to see if I could help elaborate because they could tell something was off, but they weren't sure what, and weren't even sure how to describe it to their vet, even or if a vet if they wanted to take them into a vet because everything was just it wasn't to the point where they were really sick, but at the same time, they just weren't themselves either. And but they just ran out of questions or cute clues on figuring out what to do for them. Um, so so that was one question that I got. The another one that I got quite often is my cat keeps having accidents outside the litter box, and I've taken him to the vet, but and they we ran tests and they come out healthy, but they keep having occasional access, not all the time, but they're having, and it's coming and it's happening a little bit more frequently. So what can I do? And then the other last question I got this week was a harder one, and actually I had it a couple from a couple people. So when I get more than one client with similar issues, I pay attention to it because it's probably something more collective as well, resonating going on. And this one was, how do I know it's time to say goodbye to my beloved pet? So they're struggling with end of life issues. And so, so let's go over each of those because it's a little bit different on how I work with it with the people and how we talk about these issues. So when your pet isn't, they're just off. They just aren't feeling great. That sometimes is a buildup of emotions, and emotions are, our pets have emotions just like we do, and it just they may not have the full vocabulary of emotions like an adult human, but they still have them, and they can have very strong emotions. Uh, you can almost think of a pet having a similar emotional vocabulary as a toddler. And so when your pet, but if you've ever seen a toddler have a temper tantrum, you know that they can have really strong emotions. And so that's true with pets. And so they can experience grief if they've lost, if you have more than one pet and one has passed, that pet can have um, grief issues. Um, if they have what are some other common ones that they can emotions that big one, anxiety, right? They are picking up our anxiety that we are having, because they can totally feel what, sense what we're experiencing, our emotional state. So if we're anxious, that can make them on edge too, right? They can feel there's something just like we don't know quite what's wrong with them. They don't quite know what's wrong with us. It's it's a mirror. And so they're worried because they can't make sense of what, well, you look the same, you're doing kind of the same things. Why are you so anxious? There must be some boogeyman out there that makes me more edgy, and there's something scary out there because you're scared. So so their anxiety can definitely amp up. Um, so their nervousness and worry, because now they're worried about us as well. So they can have all those emotions. If they build up enough of those emotions, then they can act out in a behavioral issue, like having a potty accidents outside. They can't handle all the emotions. And so they're trying to get our attention as well, saying, I need help. This is not okay. I don't know what's going on. I'm worried. You need to help me too. I don't understand. And so they may be trying to get our attention in other ways that are more subtle, and we're just not picking up on it so they're going to try stuff until they do get our attention. And sometimes the way to get our attention is to do something that we don't appreciate, which like pottying and outside the litter box, or having accidents in the house. So they're not going outside like they're supposed to. That gets our attention, right? And it might be a negative, but at the same time, it might be the tipping point that makes you pick up the phone and call somebody like myself to say, I don't know what's going on. I need help. And a lot of times, just clearing the trapped emotions that have built up does the trick, and then reminding them to please go back to using their litter box. And then we also can brainstorm together, well, how else can we help them so they don't get to that point where they're overloaded with emotions? They're in an overwhelmed state. So they have to resort to a negative behavior like that. So we can try and look for help you see some of the signs that they're trying to communicate to you beforehand, before it turns into the more extreme behavior. And the last one is the hard one, right? That one is such a personal uh, issue between you and your pet, knowing when it's time to say goodbye. But what I do in helping is more guiding you. I can help you understand what your pet is experiencing physically, what's going on, where the energy is at. We can, a lot of times we do some doing maintenance clearing. And when that is no longer giving your pet any kind of palliative care or support, and it's not helping them feel any better, I can help you look for more signs along with your vet again, but we can look for those signs, or kind of develop the metrics that you feel are important, that says, when my pet just can't eat anymore, they turn up their food to everything. That might be the sign it's time to say goodbye. I help you help make those decisions, even though it's between you and your pet, that's for sure. I can't tell you when, but at the same time, I can definitely support you. And then when the decision is made, then I can also make sure that they've crossed over peacefully or on the other side, make sure they've arrived okay, that they understand they're on the other side. Sometimes they get a little confused and not sure where the light is. And so helping them make sure they're there. And then they quite often want to send a message back to their person, which can help their owners, just feel more relief that they're okay, and that it's quite often a sign that only they would understand. So it's not me making something up about it. So that can give a lot of comfort to people that have had to let their pets go. So those are all things that have happened this week in my world. And they're very common, right? And I think all of you that love your pets would probably be able to relate to each one of those issues, those questions, right? And you probably have some more. I hope you do, because we can talk about that in shortly. But I want you to be aware of these are very common questions of things that we can help you with, that I can help you with, understand your pet better and be able to communicate. And we'll probably do some of this in the demo section too, to help you understand where your pet's at, how we can relieve these trapped emotions that do get it stuck in their bodies just like they do in ours. And those trapped emotions can cause both physical and emotional issues in our pets. So getting rid of them can help them feel better, both physically and emotionally, and hopefully have less behavioral issues. And oh, and for rescue pets as well, other ones that I get quite often are pets that have been rescued. So you may not always know their past history. Um, and the pets don't always like to talk about what happened in the past, but what's important in the present and with you in the here and now is that they don't may not be they may still be confused or not willing to fully open their heart up to you because they're not sure, they're not fully confident or trust yet that this is their forever home. So being able to help release some of the abandonment, the unsupported emotions, those are very common in rescue animals. Releasing those and then communicating to them that yes, this is their forever home, if that's a true statement. Letting them know what's going on because they're confused. It might be that you're just a transition to another place, letting them know what's happening. So communicating to them in a way that they understand is very helpful and helps them transition to their new life and help them also relieve any trauma and anxiety from their past. Okay, so here's some more. I always like to add these tips in that can help you because I love that you want to hire me a lot of times, and I welcome that all the time. But it's important also that there's a lot of things that you can do which helps with the helplessness. A lot of people feel very helpless when they don't know what their pet's going through, right? And just don't know what to do for them. So these are things that you can do every single day is when they're not only just anxious, but just because. And it will deepen your bond with them. So the first thing to do is breathe. Believe it or not, it's not rocket science, right? And I know because I have a degree in aerospace engineering. But breathing fully, taking full deep breaths, lowers our heart rate. So remember when I talked about if we're feeling a lot of anxiety, our pet doesn't know why we're feeling so anxious. And so that makes them more anxious because we're anxious and we're anxious because we don't understand what they're feeling, right? It becomes a negative feedback loop. But if we breathe fully and calm ourselves down, then our pet goes, okay, she's calm, he's calm. uh, Maybe things are not as scary as I think they might be. Okay, so they'll pick up our energy, right? And so helping ourselves lower our blood pressure, our pulse rate, breathing fully, getting ourselves in a calmer state totally helps our pet. Okay. So the next thing is our words matter, our thoughts matter because they're picking up the energy of our thoughts. They see the pictures, they understand pictures. I tell people all the time if you're going to tell your pet you're going to go to the grocery store and you're going to be gone for a little while, whatever, think it to them, not just say it out loud. I'll be back soon. Just tell them. I think that I'm going to be home before dinner time. And I like to use an event. Um, is they're more event driven. They don't understand clocks and time that way, but they do understand certain events. So a lot of them are very food motivated. So telling them I'll be back before mealtime, right? Or I'll be back after, before nighttime, before the morning. If I'm going to be out of town, I tell them how many nighttime sleeps I'll be gone. So I kind of give them ideas of that nature, something that's event driven. So my words matter, and then I picture it to them. And then I like to send them peace and calm. If I see my pet anxious in any way, shape, or form, then I'll take the breathing, do the breathing, and then I picture myself in a very peaceful place. What's very peace and calm? Or I just say the words because the master chef in my brain starts going, oh, I know what that means, peace and calm. And it starts releasing those chemicals that are related to peace and calm. And now I'm acting like a little mini radar, and I know about radars because I worked on them. So now we're transmitting out that that frequency of peace and calm, or those frequencies of peace and calm, and our pets pick that up, and it does work. I have an alpaca farm, and if my males are tussling and getting into a fight, if I send them peace and calm, they stop fighting. I would say 9 times out of 10, they will stop fighting immediately because it feels better. That calm energy feels better than the fighting energy, and so they just settle right down. They forget, and that's the nice thing about males, especially the male alpacas, is they're very digital. So if you distract them off of whatever they were thinking about, it's gone. So if they were fighting and focused on the energy of fighting, and I get them into send them peace and calm, they go, oh yeah, I like that peace and calm, and then they've totally forgot about whatever they were upset about. So it takes them right out of their their mindset. So it's very effective. And then I like to do it and when if I'm working with my cats or dogs or anything like that, I like to pet more slowly instead of the faster petting. Oh, because we tend when we're anxious, we kind of start speeding things up. If we can do the full breathing, do the peace and calm, and slow the petting down and do a very light petting, it actually triggers the parasympathetic response system, which is the calming system. And that's exactly what we want if our pets are anxious, right? So we want to do slow petting and gentle, very, very soft petting and slow. And then for myself, and again, if I'm benefiting and have more joy in my heart and how what I'm experiencing in the moment is joy, I'm radiating out and transmitting out that emotion, and boy, my animals respond to that. They really go, oh, that's nice energy. I like that. I can hang out with you. And then when they hang out with me, guess what? Now I'm going to love on it even more because they're being so cute and sweet. And now we have a positive feedback loop. So I stop for a few moments and I just totally enjoy the heck out of my animals, my alpacas, my dogs, my cats. It doesn't take a huge amount of time, but I'll just take a moment, stop what I'm doing if I'm in the middle of something, if I'm out doing my chores, and I have an opportunity to just enjoy being with them, I take that. Even though I have a long list of things to do, I'll take that moment because it makes a huge difference in doing the rest of the things for the rest of the day for myself, and it reduces my animals' anxiety, or they just enjoy it too. And isn't that why we have them? Is to help us enjoy life more fully. So it just deepens our bond even more so. So I encourage you to take that moment and just enjoy them and let them experience it and give it time so that you can experience in return. If you need some support with your pets, and you'd like to experience more of these sessions, or you know that your pets are needing some of these releases, then I recommend my Quick Cleanse package. It entails 4 15-minute phone consultations. So you kind of almost have me on like a mini retainer. And so you can use me as needed. And it's amazing that I can get a lot done in 15 minutes. For animals, again, they're again like a toddler, so their attention span isn't very long.
Very
So
well.
I can get that released and we're good to go. So we don't need if you've never worked with me before, I recommend the starter package just so I can get the full history. But once we get going, this quick cleanse package is very sufficient. We get a lot done. We can get your animals rebalanced and deal with some of the behavioral issues, and you're on your way again. Okay, so this is one of the most popular packages that people that use my services for their pets, they take advantage of this one. For future events, for the rest of the month, I have these two. I can't believe it's already end of March, but I have a healing circle this Saturday at noon Pacific time, and then I have one on next Wednesday is just a healing circle, no webinar. And with that, I will stop my share and open it up to questions. If anybody has any questions, we also we'll do demos, but I'll see if anybody has any questions first. If not, we can go right into the demos. So let's see, I have Lori, if you're around, if you're still on. Unmute yourself. And I have a picture
Yep,
of
I'm here.
Shaya. Hey, there we go. And I have a picture of Shaya. Is that how you pronounce her name?
Saya.
Shaya.
Saya.
And share. Here we go. Oh, that's a big smile. So how can I help you, or do you have a specific issue with Saya?
Well, she is usually not too bad, but she has some anxiety. Um, she,
Are you there? You've cut off. Lori, hello? Oops, we lost you. Are you back?
passed those dogs, and
Well,
I think,
we lost you for a bit, Lori. Can you start over, please?
okay, do you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. So she has some anxiety when it comes to going in car rides and going to the vet, which a lot of dogs I know usually do. But it got to with her, I walk my dogs too, and some neighbors had gotten some new dogs, and they come out to the fence running and barking and stuff. And she got very agitated. So I was trying to get her past the place as quickly as I could. And we got down the road just a little bit, and she ended up having a seizure on me. And so I finally, we got her, I got her out of the seat. Well, I didn't get her out of the seizure. She came out of the seizure. And I was a little hesitant to go. We had to go back by the place to get back home. And there was no one that I could call to come like with a car and pick us up because everybody was gone or working. So I got her back by the place and got her back home. And then when we went into the vet, I talked to them about it, and they gave me some what is it, trazodone, tramadone, whatever it's called there for anxiety and stuff to help.
Oh, you cut out again. We lost you again, Lori. Hello. Give you a second. Lori, are you there?
Anymore.
Oh, there you are. You're back. You cut out again.
Oh, someone's picture keeps coming up while in there. So,
okay.
So anyway, I was able to get her back by the house and get her home. And when I talked to the vet, they put her on the medication for anxiety, which I only give it to her when needed, or if I'm going to take her into the vet's office or anything like that. But I'm just wondering if there's anything we can try to do to kind of help with some of that anxiety that she has.
Okay, well, let me clear, we can definitely help clear some of the anxiety. And then I'm going to recommend you check out another modality that you can do for her. It'll be of huge benefit. Again, anything that you can do yourself as well, in addition to what I can do, is important. So I'm going to go ahead and clear first, and then I'll talk to you about this other modality. So, so I'm tapping into her. Oh, helplessness. And did you rescue Saya?
Yeah, she actually was. I actually work with a pit bull rescue group here where I live in Arizona, and I actually was manager of an animal shelter. And so I took her because the rescue group I work with, they didn't have any fosters at the time. So I took her because obviously I didn't put dogs down at my shelter. I was like a low kill. So anyway, needless to say, I got her adopted. I did want to bring her home at first, and then I got her adopted to another family, and it didn't actually work out there. I'm not quite sure what the whole story was because sometimes people don't give you the whole story. But then she came back to me. But I did find out that when my rescue group rescued her, she also had a sister, and they did not come from a very good situation. So I'm not exactly sure what happened to her in there because when I got her, she was probably around about a year old when I got her at the shelter. So, but they did tell me that it wasn't a very good situation that her and her sister were in.
Okay. So a lot of that makes sense then of where her anxiety is coming from. And as you were just talking at the end, I just felt a discomfort in my forehead right about here. So I don't know if that's related to the seizures, of where those seizures are or what, but it just popped in. So I'm paying attention to that. So release abandonment, confusion, clearing grief. Um, I do think she was bonded to the sister, so losing that bond, and I think she was the follower. The sister might have been more of the, I don't like to use the term alpha, but she was more the lead or the,
Hmm. That kind of makes sense.
so she just kind of doesn't feel like she's grounded because she doesn't know who to follow. Although I think
Yeah,
she's following you now as the lead, but at the same time, so she's probably cued into you. So when you went past these other dogs that are amped up, you probably got nervous yourself,
yeah,
and I would. Would you
yeah.
pick that up? So now she's extra anxious. So she's picking all that up.
Yes. Plus, I have two other dogs, and so when I first brought her home, I've lost three of my dogs. They all are seniors. I've lost three of my dogs since, but when I first brought her home for like the first year, she was fine with all my other dogs. But then
We lost you again. It bounced out. Lori, hang on. See if you come
over
back.
me,
There you're back.
so yeah, so she got into fights with my other female that I had, and she started going after my other dogs and attacking them. And
Oh,
so we kind of figured out it was between a trainer and myself, we think it was a jealousy type of issue. And so she didn't want the other dogs to have any mom time and be around. And so she was attacking them. So then at this point, I know I have to keep all of my dogs separate. I have another female that's also real picky about other dogs that she's with, but so everybody's separate, and everybody just has their own alone time with me. But it took about a year before she started doing that. And if she's in her kennel and another dog's in the room with her and comes up to her kennel, she kisses them and she's fine with them. She just can't be out in like the same room with them and
oh,
me.
okay.
So yeah, so I'm not sure, where all that came from either. Because like I said, at first she was okay. So I don't know if it's because of that bonding thing maybe with her sister, and then her attaching more to me. So she didn't want to share me, I guess.
Yeah, it gets complicated on all of that sort of thing, and then also a vulnerability. So when she has those seizures, she's probably had more than one.
No, she's
And
only had one actually, and that
you
was
may
the
not
one.
have seen them all.
Well, and that could be because I work. So yeah.
So having those can make you feel vulnerable, which then makes them sometimes more aggressive.
Hmm.
So clear little vulnerability there too. But it's good to keep them separate because you never know what might trigger them, and it can cause other issues. So
Right. Yeah. I've
just
had her.
clearing trapped emotions is not always sufficient because we can still build up and have another issue.
Right.
So,
And we've
but
been in this routine now for a long time. Because
yeah,
she's
I would stay with
had her.
that.
Yeah.
But I did feel a shift. So okay, and then some nice releases just now. It just went. So when I feel a shift or release, it's like having a clogged sink, and all of a sudden the energy's flowing. And so
Hmm.
we got some energy flow for her. Uh, okay. Oh, the modality. One of your best friends for her, I think, is going to be the modality called T-Touch. Have you ever heard of that? Have I talked to you before about that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It's called what?
It's called T-Touch. Let me stop the
T-touch.
share, and I'll put it in the chat box. T-T-O-U-C-H. And so I'm not certified in it, but it's a really great modality. It's something you can check out some YouTubes. There's some YouTubes on how to do it. It's about that light touch that I was kind of describing. It's a very
Hmm.
light touch. And what it does again is it triggers that parasympathetic response system. And Sai is more wired because of her past experience and all the losses and grief and changes and
Hmm.
turmoil of her earlier life. she's more hardwired to the fight or flight response system. So when she gets triggered, anything happens, she
Right.
turning to aggression, which is not good, or the seizures. So both of those are things we don't want to have happen.
Oh yeah, if
So
she
we,
gets injured or anything, I can't touch her. She won't let me even, and I've had her for 9 years and she's still, if she gets hurt, she is really, even she gets a goat head in her paw. She doesn't even want me to touch her paw to take the goat head out. So she's very, yeah.
yeah. So this will help with those things is again,
Okay.
but go where she's comfortable. I only go where they're okay with it. And then I
Mhm.
work towards things that are more discomfort, less if they're sensitive to their paws, I don't start there. I'll
Right.
start in their neck, or if they like, ear massages or chest massages. That's where I
Right.
like to start the T-touches and just work on those areas, go down their back, their tail, anything. I love to work ears because you have all sorts of pressure points in the ears. But again, it triggers that parasympathetic response system, which gets those calming chemicals going. And it works at the cellular level versus massage. Okay, massage is working the tissues. We want to trigger the calming chemicals to go into their system, because these animals that are rescue animals or more fight or flight driven, they just don't get enough of the calming, and they don't know how to really access them that much on their own. They just their fight or flight system is just hypersensitive, so it goes on all the time, and so we need to counter that. So you want to do as much of the T-touch on her. So when you're doing your quality time with her, mix up the petting and spend some time doing those T-touches. It could help actually get her out of the seizures faster, even, I would think. By doing those, it's good for anybody going into shock to work the ears. If she's having a seizure, work the ears. And again, I felt it right up here too. So but again, you got to be careful around the mouth region if they're having a seizure. But but in the meantime, just your everyday petting, do T-touches, do as much as you
All
can
right.
on it. And that will help a lot. In the meantime, too, we just got to keep clearing all the old baggage. She's got a lot of baggage, a lot of baggage.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
And
understand that. Like,
consistency with these guys is really important too. So your routines are great that you have set up. That helps them feel calmer. They get confused. That's why the car rides and going to the vet is scary. One, they
mhm.
know where they're going, because that's might be where she when the car ride might mean vet, but also, and she's also picking up all the fear from the other dogs that have been in the vet's office. So she's very hardwired or sensitive to fear and sensing that. But anything changing the routine, that just creates anxiety, and now she's right into that fight or flight response system. So she's going to be
Right.
more anxious. So
Yeah. I try to
if
keep things
if
as
if
consistent
you
as I can for her.
yeah, you know, I tried to, I had a great peer that he would throw up in the car all the time, which is because he was anxious about it. So, we did the little short go up and down the driveway, little trips until he kind of got used to it, and add a little bit more and a little bit more. And finally, he didn't mind the car ride and he didn't throw up anymore, which was great. So
Right.
I can't say he loved it, but he didn't mind it as much. He kind of actually wagged his tail and he just hopped right in. And there were
Right.
times when he wouldn't even come. I had to encourage him to come out. He was comfortable. So it's like, well, that's a good sign, but get out.
Right.
We're done. So yeah, but try and make things a routine if you can and stay close to it. It's a catch-22, because then they get more anxious when we have to change the routine. But in our day-to-day stuff, if they have a routine, that does help some of the anxious animals. Well,
All
thanks.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks for your help.
You're welcome. Okay, so all righty. Now I have Angelica. If you're around, if you're back on, you can unmute.
Hello.
Hi. And I'll share your picture you sent. Remind me which one is which?
Inara is the one on the left, and then the cream one on the right is Hugsy.
Good. Okay. And how can I help you with your two?
I don't have any particular questions or concerns per se. It's just I was just curious to do kind of like a general check-in. We did do a move mid-pandemic from Washington State down to California where we are now, and they seem pretty well adjusted. I just, want to kind of see how they're doing, and if there's anything that I'm missing in terms of what can I do to make them more comfortable or happier. So
Okay. Well, they probably say more time with us.
yeah. Well, actually, because of the pandemic, I've been working remote, so they might be sick of me. I don't know.
No, that's one thing their pets. Well, maybe they do get tired. They might get tired of me. My alpacas will spit at me. Get away. But that's usually because I'm singing. I don't like my singing. All right, so let's see who wants to go first. No. Okay, Nara wants to go first. Well, Hugsy wants Nara to go first. Let's put it that way. Just kind of scanning the body first. Are they both about the same age or?
No, Inara is going to be 7 in the summer, and shortly after she turns 7, Hugsy will turn 3.
Okay. So I would say Inara might be having the beginning of some arthritis-y kind of aches and pains. So I'm feeling like my neck is a little tight. So do they go on couches and get to sleep on beds and couches?
Yes, they have free reign. Wherever they want to go, they go.
Okay.
Nara does have a set of stairs that come up to my bed, and she makes sure she's the only one allowed to use them. She doesn't actually doesn't let Hugsy use them.
Okay. Okay, well, that's good because I think jumping down is causing some of the discomfort because it pushes a lot of pressure on those front shoulders and neck if they jump off of things. So off the couch, anything that's a little bit higher up might be jerking that upper shoulder neck area a little bit. But let's see what we can clear on that.
Okay.
Pride. Okay, I'm gonna release pride. Yeah. And stubbornness. Is she stubborn?
Sorry, did you ask if she's stubborn?
Uh-huh.
Yes. She's her full name is actually Inara Goddess Fox, and she lives up to her name.
Okay.
So she's quite sassy.
Fits.
Sorry, I must have missed another question.
No, I just said that fits.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. So I am gonna release jealousy as well. And did they get along pretty well?
They do. I think Hugsy's a bigger fan of hers than she is of his.
Okay.
I actually got Inara after we lost our 2 older dogs, and then she was alone for a short amount of time, and then we got Hugsy as a tiny puppy.
Okay.
So she really loved him when he was tiny, and then as he got older and went through the stages, I think she can use a break or two here and there from him.
A little overwhelm at times and
Mhm.
Exuberance, the puppy exuberance. So she gets a little tired of that. So I felt a little conflict coming through. So I'm going to release that. A little bit of defensiveness too, because at least I don't know if it's still true, but when he was younger, he didn't know, but he just got a little too exuberant. So it didn't always feel good when he tried playing with her or something.
Yeah,
So,
she definitely had to be the one to teach him what boundaries are.
yeah. So, and now that she's slow, her body it's still pretty good. I mean, she's, it feels very open and, you know, pretty, pretty healthy energy, but it's still seven at when they get to 7, 8, 9, they start getting a little aches and pains and slowing
Mhm.
down and not wanting to deal with as much hyperactivity. And so they're just not as fast. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Their reactions are a little slower. And so she's a little reactive, or more defensive. That's a good word, defensive around him because she's like, I don't have the energy for you.
Hmm.
There was a nice shift. So she feels better about having that be explained. Not that there's anything to be done. I think she set her boundaries with it. Um, did she hear okay?
As far as I can tell, yeah, I mean, she certainly hears her bowl, or when I call her for a treat. But there are some times where I've wondered if there's a little bit of
It's
loss
feeling
there, hearing loss.
a feeling a little discomfort in the left ear, but also now
Her
I'm hearing,
left.
well, it's my left, so
Okay.
my left and right are not always accurate, but I'm also hearing a little high ringing in my right ear. So,
You know, that's really interesting because she's never been afraid of anything, but recently, since we moved, she'll have moments, and I cannot, for the life of me, figure out why or what's causing it, where she's started to shake and tremble, and I tested out kind of like our electrical outlets and everything, just in case there was a high pitched ringing somewhere that I couldn't hear. I don't know what's causing it, but I feel like hearing you say that there might be something going on, and that's why she's shaking in those moments.
but it's not all the time.
No, I can't figure out what the trigger is for her.
Do you have neighbors near you?
Yes, we live in a pretty populated area, so there's plenty of noise.
I wonder if it's coming more from a neighbor. But I'm hearing a very high pitched ringing coming in on my right ear. So right usually is sending out. That's odd. So when it's happening to me, when I'm receiving information, it's usually because I receive information on my left, but I'm sending it on the right. But I think this is different than that. I'm not tuning her. So she's picking up something, I think. So hearing is something going on. Maybe we can puzzle that out at some other point. But
Okay.
I would look at when she starts shaking, maybe notice is it always at the same time of day? uh or day of the week? Kind of start maybe taking a little note, put it a little tick
Mhm.
on a calendar or something, or text yourself or email yourself. Just a
Okay.
couple see if there's any patterns. Can I clear anything related to it? Well, it does make her a little more anxious or nervous, so I'm going to clear that. Oh, there's a shift. Okay. Oh, and there was the neck. Ah, it might have been because her neck was out. Oh, that feels better. So her neck was really jammed up now. That's better. And is that to help with the hearing? The ringing has settled, so maybe it was just related to the neck too. I don't know. But let's see what happens. Keep an eye on the shaking when that happens and see if we can't help puzzle. Because if I have a better clue of what it might be or a time of day, we can maybe help release more or help explain what's going on for her
Okay.
in that area. That maybe it was just her neck was out too. I don't know.
Okay.
But it doesn't make sense with the shaking, but it might not be related to the ear ringing, may not be related to that. So
Okay.
I'm not sure what to tell you at this point. This is when sometimes we need a couple sessions where you get more information, and
Sure, yeah.
he doesn't know. And is Hugsy experiencing any of the shaking?
No, he's completely oblivious to it when it happens. He
Okay.
does check on her because he notices that she's not feeling well, so he'll check on her. But he's gotten really good at giving her space, especially in those moments. He'll check in and then
And then
move
back
away,
off.
but it doesn't, whatever it is, it doesn't bother him at all.
Okay. And his being there doesn't comfort her, so it's good that he's realizing that. Okay, so let's switch over to him. How you doing? Okay, he says, I'm a goofball.
Absolutely. I use that term for him all the time.
Okay. Well, he thinks that he might think that's his name. Do you have anything you want released? Does he have a toy he likes, a ball or something?
Right now, he's really loving this new Frisbee that I bought.
Because he's
He
showing me a
loves all
toy.
toys, really.
He's talking a lot about, I just want to play more.
Yeah, that's all he wants to do ever. He's always in a playful mood.
I was asking him if he had anything. He doesn't really need anything released per se. He seems pretty comfortable. The move, no problem. He's kind of an easygoing, but I would say kind of whatever. Is that true?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the move was like, whatever, as long as I think it's as long as he's with you and Anara, he's happy boy. I think if you ever go back to work or, or not that you're not working, but go to the office again, that
Mhm.
might be when he starts not being as happy because he really likes having you around and all he wants is to play more. So
Yeah,
there's-
I do still travel quite a bit, and when I'm out of town, I board them, which I don't know whether Nara enjoys that, but Hugsy seems to enjoy it quite a bit because they have cameras and he's always running around. So
Okay, good. Yeah, they're probably giving him lots of playtime. So, he's all about play. He's kind of one track mind. Just
yeah,
play.
yeah. Sometimes it's funny. All my other dogs have been more food motivated, and he's not.
Play motivated. Play
Yeah,
motivated. Yep.
all
That's
about
all he
having a
keeps
good
saying
time.
over. Yep. I just want to play. Somebody play with me. Very good. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you.
And we got time, Ann. Let's see. I don't think we have time for all four. If you want to unmute yourself, Ann. My guy is barking right now. Are you there, Ann?
Yeah, sorry.
Hi. Um,
Well,
you
they
have
all deserve,
one.
they all deserve a reading, but I just got bit for the second time in 2 weeks by Frankie, the first one, so maybe we should do
I'm not
that.
sure which one.
I think it's the first picture I sent. He looks
Wait.
like a Lhasa or Shih Tzu.
Okay.
The other two are puggles.
Let's see if this is the right one. Is that the right one?
Yeah,
So this is Frankie.
Frankie. I don't know what, he's only about 1.5 years, 2 years old. He's still really young. He was brought into our rescue. I don't know his background, but he's been with two different adoptees and he's bit them both. The second one, he bit him several times and he finally had to return him to us too. And I've had him for a few months. He
Now
bit
he's
me
biting.
at what?
And now he's biting you.
Yeah,
And was he fine in the beginning?
No.
No. So he's always been more anxious or baity?
he just goes off on you. Like, it seems like if he's startled or if he's been sleeping and you touch him and he will wake up. The first time we were napping on napping on the bed, and he rolled over on his back, and I'd had him for a few weeks, and I thought, oh, isn't that sweet? He's really relaxing around me. And I put my hand on his belly, and I must have woke him up, and he nailed me. I mean, he just sunk his teeth into my hand. And because I was on my back, I had no leverage. I couldn't even get him to release. Anyway, so that was at Christmas. And couple weeks ago, he's been getting into scraps with some of the other dogs, but not, I haven't seen any blood. The only blood I've seen is mine.
Boy.
And anyway, there was some I was collateral damage. He was going after another dog, and my hand was on his back, and he just went after anything that he thought was nearby him. And today, I just hour before this our thing here, I pushed him away from me on the couch, and he just turned and nailed me on my arm. So when he's good, he's very, very good. And when he's bad, he's horrid. Just leave him home.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He's a love, and he's smart as a whip, but he has aggression issues.
Great. So I would definitely think about taking him to a good trainer, because he needs to understand what's appropriate and what isn't. And again, his fight or flight response system is quick, and it goes to fight.
Yes.
So he needs boundaries and I would have him in a more controlled environment. I would suggest that, and talking to, again, good trainer that understands aggression issues, because a lot of these guys that we give them freedom, to be around people or, sleep wherever, but they're vulnerable. They feel vulnerable. They've been bounced around. He's had a couple homes. He's confused. He doesn't quite have a lot of trust in anybody just yet, or the other dogs even. And so he feels vulnerable. And so he's going to be on hyper vigilant mode. So if he gets startled or feels defensive, it's going to come out as an aggression. So having, again, routines. Is he crate trained?
Yeah, he's fine, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, after he bit me, I gave him half a Xanax and put him in the bed, and it was great. And he was fine. He just went there.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's not a punishment for them. It's actually feels more contained and safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would encourage that. And then when you can be in control of the situation, that's when he comes out more and can engage with you, and you can hopefully control or the interaction with the other dogs might be more restful time period. But as soon as it looks like there's a little anxiety coming up or anything that might cause some altercations, they go back into the pen or into the crate.
Well, that's not a bad idea. Actually, pay attention to him, and when he's getting cranky with the other dogs, just give him a timeout, put him in his crate.
Yeah, it's like any little kid that gets overtired, overstimulated, they get reactive. And so he doesn't know how to calm himself. This teaches him also how to calm himself. And if he learns that, you know what, I'm tired, I'm going to go to my crate. That's how he needs a place that he knows he can feel safe and protected too. So if he can go in and out of his crate, but when he needs a timeout, then the crate closes too. And we can contain him in there too. And then when he's more rested and we're rested, then we can just have a quiet time that we can teach him. Then that feels better. Then we have a positive interaction with everybody and he can calm down more. So use that tool That's an important tool. And again, we humans tend to think of crates sometimes as a punishment that we're putting them in there because they're naughty. And to them, it's not a punishment. That's a den. That's a safe place. It's nice. They like having it closed in because now they're protected. They got four walls around them. So they don't have to watch their backs. So for a hypervigilant dog, that is a sign of security, okay, or it's a place of security and protection. So they don't have to be as defensive. So I would do that. So let me clear though for him. Lack of control, clearing that. Defensiveness, clearing that. Insecurity, clearing that. Vulnerability, clearing that. Abandonment, clearing that. Fear, clearing that. And confusion.
You said fear is a huge issue?
No, I just cleared fear
Um,
and confusion and nervousness, clearing that. I mean, yeah, he is a fear-based dog, so yeah, it's a problem because it's his, again, he's more living in the fear-based state, so he's more hypervigilant about what's going on in his environment until we can show him a different way. So that's where teaching him about the crate and getting him into a calmer place, a quieter place, and then
Okay.
keeping it so that your interactions are more about when he's a good boy. He's a good boy. And then he
Um,
can hopefully let go of the fear place if we can keep him realizing, oh, I don't have to be as protective about what's going on in the world.
You said lack of control. What did you mean?
Lack of control. Well, you can't control a situation, right? I'm gonna
Ah.
bite you.
Okay.
You just woke up. I'm not in control. I'm gonna bite you. It's kind of I want to be the boss. I'm not the
Oh,
boss.
he's definitely wants to be the boss. He's definitely alpha, and he's very smart. He's smart as a whip.
So he wants to be the boss all the time. And that's part of the conflict as well, is that, what do you mean you want to pet me? Or how dare you cross my path? With the other dogs. Or
Hmm.
I was thinking about having that toy, even if I didn't want it or something. But
You're
I didn't give you permission to play with that, or I did not give you permission to cross my path.
you're describing him beautifully.
So that's lack of control. It's that dominance thing. So again, he needs boundaries because he's going to test whoever his person is, because he thinks he should be in charge of you as well. So that's where you have to have really consistent boundaries, and the crate is going to be your best friend for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you. And we're at the top of the hour.
All right.
Perfect timing. Any other questions, anybody? Because we're going to go right into the healing circle otherwise. And you're all welcome to stay on for that.
I am going to leave because it's 10 o'clock at night for me.
Oh, yes. I don't blame you. Have a good evening, Ann. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Bye-bye.
Bye.